on a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with...
Hi, and welcome to this month's Thoughts on Leadership. This month, we're calling it Know When to Fold. It reminds me of the Kenny Rogers song. What was it? If you're going to play the Game Boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away and when to run. And it's an important aspect of leadership, is knowing when to stand firm, when to hold, but equally when to just simply walk away. Leaders know when to take a stand on a particular issue. There are times when dealing with things that it's important to take a stand. This is the time to deal with this. I've got to get in early. Got to have something to say here. But then there's also times when maybe that's not the best approach to take. We know those people who always have something to say about everything. And the result is, every time they speak up, people switch off. In the back of their mind, they're going, it's him again, or, oh God, it's her again. And instead of being able to hear what the message is, people have closed down. And a leader is well aware of this, very conscious in their mind that when they do have something to say, they do want people to listen to it. So knowing when to stand up for an issue, knowing when to say, no, this is something I need to say something about, and at other times when to just back away and say, let's allow other people to come to the fore, allow them to have a contribution. I've sometimes watched managers in an organization tackle things as though it's only them that could possibly have the answers to these questions. And you can nearly hear in their mind, the back of their mind, they're saying, if it wasn't for me around here, nobody would know anything. Or if it wasn't for me coming in and getting solving these problems, things would never get done. And this attitude is not leadership. This is a manager. This is somebody who is just trying to control everything rather than allowing their input to be the right input at the right time for the individual concerned. So, a leader typically would look at a situation that had arisen, choose the right time to have the input, whether they allow others to talk first and then they come in later, or whether they come in the middle of the discussion, or whether they take the lead in the discussion. In some cases, there is a need to push harder and to step forward and say, no, this is it's got to be bitten right in the bud and deal with the issue. I'm not saying that those times don't exist, but I'm saying it's not every time. In fact, in reality, I would say it's less. It's very rarely that approach needs to be taken. It also makes sense, if you think about it, that allowing other people to speak up first, allowing them to express their opinions first, gives the leader the opportunity to evaluate the individual. Hearing what they has to say tells you a lot about their thinking, their approach to making decisions, their approach to dealing with issues. So it does actually make sense for a leader to be taking the back role sometimes and allowing someone else to come forward and to express their opinions and listen to the discussion going along between people so as to get a feel for the individuals. So it really is. It's about knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, and knowing when to walk away, knowing when there's that issue which this is just not worth fighting about. Allow something just to go ahead. It may not be the way you wanted it to be, it may not be perfect, it may not be just right, but it's good enough, and it's time to just walk away from something. So how good are you at developing the instincts in this area? Is it a skill? Something that just happens. It doesn't just occur because you inherently learned it. It's something that you develop, and it's a habit you can develop very quickly of doing the opposite, where you're reacting to the situation and doing what you've always done, rather than actively taking a role of thinking and saying, what's the best approach here? Is it best that I sit back, or is it best that I come in forward? So, I have questions, as always, for you to consider. Before you're diving in, before you're jumping in there and dealing with issues that arise, making your suggestions, making your comments, giving your direction to others, do you stop and consider, is your input needed at this stage? Is this something that you could just back off from, allow them to? And are there times when the decision's being made that what you want isn't necessarily that important? Maybe you can let it go. Maybe you can just walk away from this. If you're always the ones that makes the comment first, people are going to wait to hear from you. That becomes another issue. You're the person that's always saying something first. Then what happens is people won't say anything until you've had your say as well, which equally doesn't give you that opportunity. Do you weigh up in your mind how important it is that you are contributing? Do you consider if this needs your input? Do you encourage others, actively encourage others to speak up? Do you listen to what they say and consider their merits in the situation? Now here's, most of all, my question is, do you have a mechanism for yourself, personally, do you have a mechanism to weigh up the importance of a subject and decide how quickly you're going to contribute, whether you should even be contributing at all, or whether this is something that you can just walk away from? Kenny Rogers ended his song with these timely words. He said, "You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." And what he was saying here is, if it hasn't gone your way, don't sit at the table and argue it out. Don't do a post-mortem in front of everybody. Walk away. Think about it. What can you learn from this? What can you take from it and learn for it from next time? Equally, don't gloat if you do get your own way. That's not the time for it. When you have got your way, commend others for their contribution, for a way that they have gone about and being part of the whole program, so that they know that it wasn't about you winning. It was about everyone's contribution and a good decision coming to. So, I hope this has been helpful and given you something to think about this month, and I hope you have a great month. Please feel free, write in, give me your ideas, give me things. I love hearing from you, as always. And thank you for listening.
You got to know